Mom's cooking is really good. Especially her braised pork belly. That is her specialty, but lately, she hasn't been making it for us. I asked her why. She just said, casually, because the piglet hasn't grown up yet. One night in the middle of the night, I woke up from a dream. I saw Mom holding a cleaver up high. She stroked my face and said, the little piggy has grown up. Time to eat. Ugh. I let out a terrified scream. My eyes wide open. I fully woke up. I saw the cleaver Mom had already raised. I rolled off the bed and hit the floor. Then, Mom swung the cleaver down right where I'd just been lying. The sharp blade glinted coldly in the dark. Mom, what is wrong with you? I quickly turned on the light and yelled in panic, but her eyes looked empty and lost, like she didn't even recognize me. All I could hear was her mumbling over and over. The little piggy has grown up. Time to eat. Then, Mom turned to look at me, staring straight at me. She said, the little piggy has grown up. But why is the little piggy running away? After that, she raised the cleaver again and walked toward me. I was scared out of my mind. My body started shaking uncontrollably. I turned and ran out of the room. The hallway was pitch black. Only the sound of my footsteps echoed. Dad, wake up, help. I screamed down the hallway. Soon, Dad woke up to my shouting. He rushed out first. When he saw the cleaver in Mom's hand, his face went pale instantly. Right after, my sisters also woke up. They came out looking half asleep, but were terrified by the scene in front of them. Quick, hold him down, Dad yelled. He rushed at her first. Dad was way stronger than Mom. He tackled her from behind. Mom hit the ground instantly. The kitchen knife flew out of her hand. Me and my sisters also jumped on Mom. We grabbed her arms and legs, trying to stop her from moving. Honey, wake up, Dad shook Mom desperately. His voice was full of worry and panic. Mom, what is wrong with you? My sisters asked from the side. Their voices were choked up. We held Mom down on the floor. She kept struggling, still muttering those creepy words. I looked at Mom. I was filled with fear and confusion. Mom was always so gentle. Why was she like this now? In the end, we had to tie Mom up with a rope, so she wouldn't hurt us anymore. Dad called an ambulance. The ambulance arrived quickly. The medics lifted Mom onto a stretcher. On the way to the hospital, Dad held my hand tight. He comforted me. Don't worry. Mom's probably just exhausted. She'll be fine after a few days rest. But I could still hear a hint of uncertainty in his voice. We had several kids in the family. Dad was busy with work. He often worked late into the night. Grandparents from both sides didn't live in the same city as us, so Mom had to quit her job and take care of us full time. In my memory, Mom was always a gentle and kind person. She was always smiling, cooking for us, keeping the house, taking care of our lives. I didn't know how Mom suddenly became like this. Soon, the hospital test results came back. The doctor told us Mom might have had a mental breakdown from long-term stress and fatigue. We went to Mom's bedside. She had regained consciousness. She saw us. Seeing us, she asked, sounding confused, Honey, how did I end up in the hospital? What happened? Sweetheart, don't you remember what happened last night? Dad's voice was a little choked up. Mom frowned, thought for a bit, then said, I just remember the kids saying they wanted braised pork. I was gonna make it for them. So, I went to catch a piglet. But that piglet was too fast. I couldn't grab it. Hearing what Mom said, our whole family turned pale. Her tone was calm, like she was talking about the most ordinary thing. Mom's braised pork was amazing. We all loved it, but at some point, Mom stopped making it for a long time. One time, me and my sisters asked her why she didn't make it anymore. She just said, the piglets hadn't grown up yet. Back then, we were totally confused. Until now, I just felt a terrifying chill. In the end, for safety, Dad decided to send Mom to a mental hospital for treatment. Mom wasn't really against going. Instead, after finding out what happened last night, she looked at me with an apologetic face, hoping I could forgive her. Xin, Mommy didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. Her voice was full of guilt and self-blame. After we went home with Mom and packed her bags, Dad drove her to the mental hospital. Before leaving, Mom smiled and said to us, when Mommy gets better, I'll come back and make you braised pork. Watching Mom leave, I felt really guilty. Sis, should we not have done this? I asked quietly. Silly Xin, this is for our safety too. What if one day Mom wants to find a piglet? What would we do? Right. And it is not like Mom isn't coming back. Dad said, once Mom gets better, she can come back. Hearing my sisters say that, I felt a lot better. After our mom went to the mental hospital, she would often text us sisters, sharing about her life. Looking at the photos she sent, I always missed her so much. I'd secretly pray a lot, hoping mom would get better soon and come back to take care of us. When mom wasn't around, dad hired a nanny to look after us. The nanny was really nice to us too. She always had a smile on her face, doing her best to make us feel warm, but her cooking just wasn't as good as mom's. That night, I was half asleep. When I got woken up by the sound of chopping meat, that noise was extra loud in the silence, and I couldn't fall back asleep. I followed the sound downstairs. The first floor was pitch black, with only the kitchen light on. I crept closer and saw the kitchen door was slightly open. Peeking through the crack, I could see the nanny's back. She had her back to me, holding a sharp kitchen knife, chopping at the meat on the cutting board. Thump thump. The sound echoed in the quiet night, sending chills down my spine. Suddenly, the nanny turned around. Her eyes were locked on me, with a creepy smile on her face. The little piggy's all grown up. Time to eat. I was scared out of my mind, my body shaking uncontrollably. I stepped back a few steps, knocking over a chair, making a loud bang. But the nanny didn't stop what she was doing. She turned back and kept chopping the meat, muttering to herself, "The little piggy's all grown up. Time to eat." Hearing that, the blood in my veins felt like it froze solid. The nanny and my mom seemed to overlap, like they had become one person. Driven by pure instinct, I sprinted back to my room and locked the door. Then, I pushed the small sofa over to block the door. Thankfully, the nanny didn't come up after me. I was hiding in my room, shivering. I couldn't sleep the whole night. My heart was full of fear and confusion. What the hell was going on? Why did the nanny sister become just like mom? The sound of chopping meat on the first floor went on all night, like it would never end. The next morning, I told Dad about it. Dad was eating breakfast in the kitchen. When he heard what I said, he frowned a little. Then, he said casually, "Xin, you must have had a nightmare. I didn't hear anything last night. Besides, how could the nanny say the same thing as mom?" "Yeah, I didn't hear anything either. I slept like a baby last night. I even dreamed we were eating ice cream together." My sisters chimed in too. I looked at them, and a strange fear rose inside me. Why was I the only one who heard it? Dad didn't bother to listen to me anymore. After breakfast, he rushed out the door for work. I watched the nanny sister smile as she served us breakfast. The smile on her face was faint, soft and pretty, but to me, it looked really creepy. I forced down a few bites, then said I wasn't hungry and went back to my room. The whole day, I was on edge. That evening, I found a note shelved under my door. I opened it with shaking hands. The note said, "At 3 a.m., Bebe's room." The blood in my veins instantly froze. Bebe was one of my older sisters. What was going to happen in Bebe's room at 3 a.m. tonight? Soon enough, it was 3 a.m. I told myself, maybe it was just a prank. But the fear inside wouldn't let me calm down. In the end, I mustered up the courage and pushed open my door. The hallway was pitch black. Only a faint glow from the nightlight in the distance. I got to Bebe's room and saw something that took my breath away. Bebe was dead. Her body was cut into pieces in the room. Blood everywhere, just like braised pork. My scream cut through the darkness again. The police showed up quickly. The house immediately felt heavy. Dad sank into the couch, his face full of grief. My sisters and I hugged each other tightly, shaking uncontrollably, totally freaked out. No signs of forced entry. "Is it just you people in the house?" the lead cop asked in a low voice. "Yes, just you as usually. The kid's mom is in the hospital." "Oh right. We also have a nanny. She takes care of the kids," Dad said, his voice choked, like he couldn't wrap his head around any of this. The cops started carefully examining the scene. But then we realized in horror, the nanny was gone. After the cops finished their inspection, they just frowned and said coldly, "Can't jump to conclusions yet. We gotta find the nanny first." After the cops left, the house was dead silent. Dad was quiet for a while, then told us to go to sleep, and made sure we locked the doors and windows. Me and my sisters held each other's hands, too scared to let go. Finally, we decided to sleep together in one room tonight. The room was pitch dark, only the occasional wind outside the window made our skin crawl. "Do you think Mom might have come back?" my sister whispered from the bed, her voice barely audible, but trembling slightly. "No way, Mom is still in the mental hospital. Besides, how could Mom have killed Bebe? I think the nanny did it. Why else would she disappear? Why not? Didn't Mom almost kill Xin last time?" My sister's voice was choked with tears, like fear was suffocating her. That night, none of us slept well. Every little noise startled us awake. The next day, we dragged ourselves downstairs with dark circles, for breakfast. But the table was loaded with fancy dishes. The aroma filling the air. Right as we stood there, stunned, the oven in the kitchen went ding. Mom walked over with a tray of fresh baked bread. A gentle smile on her face. You're awake. Come have breakfast. Her voice was warm and kind, just like always. But me and my sisters froze, our expressions turning to stone. Just then, Dad came to the table too, speaking cheerfully. After evaluation at the mental hospital, Mom has fully recovered. Now she can come back and take care of you again. Yeah. The doctor said the recovery was great. So I was discharged last night. Mom's voice was full of joy. But it was too late when I got home. Didn't want to disturb your sleep. So I stayed at a hotel for the night. Mom learned a few new dishes recently. I'll make them for you. Over the next few days, she chattered on and on, her face beaming with happiness, but completely missing the look on our faces. Mom, did you really come back last night? My sister's voice trembled, asked quietly. Of course not. Why are you asking? Mom was stunned. Then she suddenly realized. Her face turned pale. Are you guys suspecting that I killed Bebe? How could I possibly kill my own daughter? And the doctor said, I'm better now. Mom started crying sadly. I'm sorry, Mom. We didn't mean it that way. My sisters said. Their voices had a hint of apology, but Mom didn't listen to our explanation. She went back to her room alone, and didn't come down for the whole day. In the afternoon, the police came to our house again. The police told Dad. They still couldn't find the nanny. They suspected the nanny killed Bebe and ran away. That night only my sister and I slept together. Yu originally wanted to sleep with us too, but she said my bed was too hard. It wasn't comfortable for her. So she went back to her own room. Did we misunderstand Mom this morning? The police said Bebe was killed by the nanny. My sister whispered. Yeah, Mom was really upset. She didn't come down to eat all day. I couldn't help but say, maybe we should go apologize to Mom tomorrow. My sister agreed with my idea. We planned to ask Yui to come with us and apologize to Mom tomorrow. In the night, I was half asleep, then suddenly, knock knock knock. I woke up to a knocking sound. I remembered the past few nights. My face instantly turned white. My heart was pounding. I quickly shook my sister awake. What is wrong? My sister rubbed her eyes. But she soon woke up to the knocking too. Right when we were huddled together, trembling, the person outside started talking. The voice was gentle and familiar, but there was something creepy about it. Little babies, open the door. I just made your favorite braised pork. Won't you come have a bite? The room fell completely silent. My sister and I held each other tight. Our bodies wouldn't stop shaking. Neither of us dared to open the door. In the dark, we stared at the door of the room. We didn't know if the gentle kind Mom was behind the door, or the crazy one with a kitchen knife. Don't be scared. Mom can't get in. We locked the door. My sister's voice was shaky as she tried to comfort me, but right after she said that, I suddenly remembered something terrifying. All the blood in my body went ice cold instantly. I turned pale and said with a shaky voice, I think I remember. Mom and Dad have keys to our room. My sister froze and stared in fear at the tightly shut door. A bad feeling spread through both of us. Oops. If you won't open up, then I'll just come in myself. Mom's voice suddenly rang out, with a hint of cheerful laughter. Right after that, we heard the sound of a key sliding into the keyhole. Our hearts jumped into our throats. We saw the doorknob slowly turn downward, and the room door swung open. We jumped out of bed right away, and hid everywhere, hoping to sneak past Mom while she wasn't looking. I crouched by the bed, holding my sister's hand tightly. Our palms were soaking with sweat. I silently prayed, hoping the nice Mom was behind the door. After the door fully opened, Mom walked in, with the faint moonlight. I saw she was wearing an apron, and holding a bowl of steaming braised pork. The rich meat smell spread through the room right away. Seeing us lying on the floor, Mom was startled, and turned on the light. What are you? Well, playing hide and seek. That is great. My sister and I were totally relieved. Mom put the braised pork belly on the table, and handed each of us a pair of chopsticks. Go ahead and eat. It has been a while since you had my braised pork belly, right? Mom, I'm sorry. This morning, we didn't mean to doubt you. My sister pulled on Mom's sleeve, and said quietly, I know. Baby's death really messed you two up. Mom patted our heads to comfort us. But don't worry, Mom is really fine now. We looked at Mom's gentle smile. The fear in our hearts slowly faded, and was replaced by a sense of calm. We happily picked up our chopsticks together, and dug into the braised pork belly. The room was filled with laughter. The next morning, we went downstairs for breakfast, but didn't see Yue at the table. Let's go get Yue, and apologize to Mom together. I took my sister's hand and headed upstairs. Xin, there is something I didn't get to tell you last night. When we got close to Yue's room, my sister looked like she wanted to say something, but stopped. Her eyes were full of hesitation, just as she was about to speak. She suddenly froze. What is it? I turned back and asked her, a hint of confusion in my voice. But I saw my sister staring ahead in shock. Her face instantly turned pale, her eyes full of terror, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. I immediately had a bad feeling. I followed my sister's gaze and turned my head. I saw Yue's door was slightly ajar. A faint light was coming through the crack. Yue was lying on the bed, her body completely still. I instinctively grabbed my sister's hand, my voice shaking so bad, I could barely get the words out. Yue is dead. Her body was cut into pieces in the room. Blood was dripping off them, just like braised pork belly. After the report was filed, the police came back again soon. The red and blue flashing lights of the police car flickered in the morning fog, reflecting the shocked and curious faces of the neighbors around. 2 accidents happened back to back. The neighbors all gathered in front of our house, whispering. Dad sat silently on the couch. His hands were clenched tight. His knuckles turned white. Mom sat beside him. Her body was trembling slightly. Tears kept streaming down her face. She couldn't stop sobbing. I was sleeping all night last night. I didn't hear a thing, not until this morning. The girls found them first. Dad said, his voice hoarse. I made dinner for the kids last night. After I finished, I took it to them separately. It was around 2 in the morning. At that time, Yuanming was still fine. How could this happen? Mom's voice trembled so much, she could barely continue. She covered her mouth with her hand. Tears poured out between her fingers. Officer, you have to investigate thoroughly. Who could be so cruel to kill 2 little girls, 6 or 7 years old? Mom lifted her head. Her eyes were full of despair and anger. The lead police officer nodded seriously. He said they would do their best to solve the case quickly. Before leaving, he suggested that Mom and Dad better send me and my sister somewhere safer. If we stayed here, they were worried the killer might come after us too. Mom and Dad talked it over. They decided to send me and my sister to live with Grandma and Grandpa for a while, starting tomorrow. They'd bring us back once the killer was caught. In the afternoon, me and my sister were packing our bags in the room. As I stuffed clothes into the suitcase, I said sadly, Sis, do we really have to go to Grandma and Grandpa's? But I don't want to leave Mom and Dad. We have to go. The sooner, the better. My sister's face looked awful. Her voice had a hint of tension. There is something I never told you. Do you remember last night when Mom brought us braised pork? Don't you think that meat tasted a little weird? I froze. Thinking back to last night, we haven't had braised pork in a long time. I remember the meat Mom made last night was really delicious. Even better than what we used to have. Suddenly, I felt a chill. My voice started shaking. What do you mean? Are you saying Mom killed Yuanming? Then she even made braised pork belly. As soon as I said that, I started feeling sick. My face was getting paler and paler. I actually wanted to tell you about this morning. But then I saw Yue. My sister said, her voice trembling. Anyway, no matter what, we have to get out of the house as soon as possible. But we can't go to Grandma and Grandpa's until tomorrow. I can't imagine what might happen tonight. My sister sighed and patted my head. Xinqin, we have to sleep in separate rooms tonight. Later we'll take the spare keys to the other rooms. Remember, lock your door tonight. No matter who knocks, don't open it. I immediately understood what my sister meant. Sleeping apart. If nothing happens tonight, we'll both survive, but if something does happen, at least one of us might make it through. Sister, why don't we call the police? We can tell the police everything. They'll help us. I couldn't help blurting out, silly Xinqin. Even if we tell the police Mom is the murderer, what can they do? We don't have any proof. There was a hint of despair in my sister's voice. Besides, we absolutely can't let Mom and Dad know what we're thinking. Otherwise, but just as I was about to say something else, there was a loud crash. A plate shattered on the floor. The sound came from right behind us. My sister and I spun around, and we froze stiff with fear instantly. Mom was standing silently right behind us. Her face was so dark, it was terrifying. The plate on the floor was in pieces. The braised pork belly had spilled all over the floor. The sauce splattered on the tiles, and it looked really striking. Mom, I whispered. My voice was trembling a little. What are you two talking about? Mom's voice came out low, with a kind of creepy gentleness. You really think I killed Yue? And that I made her into braised pork belly? But I already told you. Mom's better now. Why won't you guys believe Mom? Mom stared dead at me, and my sister. It was so cold, it gave us chills. It's not that we don't believe you. But the police said no one broke in. My sister grabbed my hand tight. She pulled me back a step without thinking. Her voice trembling, she said, maybe it stung Mom that we stepped back. She suddenly started laughing. The laugh was creepy and harsh. It sent chills down our spines. My sister and I screamed in terror right away. Right then, Dad walked over. He said helplessly, For no reason. Why scare them like that? HMH, they're the ones doubting me. These ungrateful kids. Mom's voice had a hint of resentment, but her face went back to normal. We never told you to. The police already checked. It wasn't Mom. Dad crouched down in front of us. His big hand patted our heads. He said slowly, ever since she scared Xinjin last time. Mom had a locator implanted under her skin at the hospital. If it detects anything off with Mom, the locator will alert right away. The night the victim was killed, the locator showed Mom was at the hotel the whole time, and the night Yumei was killed, it showed Mom only went to Yu's room to drop off food. She was there less than 5 minutes. The police also said 5 minutes isn't nearly enough time to chop a body up like that. After hearing what Dad said, my sister and I started calming down from the shock. Really? My sister held me, looking at Mom and Dad with teary eyes. Of course it's true. Mom couldn't help it either. Open your mouth. His face had already returned to a calm and gentle expression. He slowly walked over to us, rolled up the sleeve on his right arm, revealing the tracker that was only on his arm. Part of the tracker was exposed on the skin, giving off a metallic shine, as if silently proving something. My sister and I exchanged a glance. A huge weight finally lifted off our shoulders. Mom was really better, and we had been misunderstanding her all along. That night, after my sister and I finished dinner, we went back to our room to tidy up. I happily asked my sister, since Mom's not the killer, can we sleep together tonight? But my sister just shook her head, looking serious and grave. Shenxin, we can't sleep together tonight. Remember what I'm telling you. Make sure to lock your door tonight. No matter who comes, you must not open the door. With that, she pulled a set of keys from her pocket and handed them to me. I took them and saw they were the spare keys to my room. At some point, my sister had taken all the spare keys to our rooms. I looked at her serious face, and my heart sank. My voice started trembling. Why? What is going on? Sis, do you remember Mom's tracker? I nodded, feeling confused inside. Mom's tracker was on her right arm, but I'd heard before that when Mom was young, she got into a car accident. Her arm got crushed by a car, and later she had to have it amputated and got a prosthetic. Back then, Grandma and Grandpa spent a fortune to get Mom a custom prosthetic that felt just like a real arm. And the arm Mom had fitted was her right arm. After hearing what my sister said, I went back to my room with a heavy heart. I locked my room door just like she told me, just hoping nothing would happen tonight. After what felt like a long time, I heard light footsteps in the hallway. My heart instantly raced. Knock knock knock. Sweetie, open the door. Mom made you something delicious. Mom's voice was gentle and familiar, but to me, like a death sentence from hell. I covered my mouth tight, too scared to make a sound. Click. That familiar sound came from the door lock. My heart instantly jumped into my throat. I had no idea where Mom got another spare key, but she unlocked my room door. I held my breath, listening as Mom's footsteps got closer. Mom walked into the room, but then saw no one was there. Before I went to bed that night, I kept replaying what my sister said, feeling really uneasy. I was terrified that when I woke up in the morning, I'd find my sister's dead body again. Bebe and Yueyu were already dead. I couldn't lose my sister too. I swore I wouldn't be the next token. Tonight I'd figure out what was really going on. I snuck out of my room, then locked it with the key. Then I hid in a storage room, not far from my room, waiting quietly the whole time. The storage room was packed with clutter, dark and cramped, but it was the perfect hiding spot. I lay flat in there, watching Mom carry a plate of pastries, walk around my room, then leave looking confused. I quietly followed her to see what she was really up to. After she left, she put the pastries back in the kitchen, then went back to her bedroom to sleep. I stared at the tightly closed master bedroom door, and suddenly felt like me and my sister were overthinking it. Mom really wasn't the killer. I let out a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to head back to my room, click, the master bedroom door behind me creaked open again. My hair instantly stood on end, heart pounding. In that split second, I quickly ducked into an empty room nearby, peeking through the crack in the door. I saw Dad walk out of the master bedroom. I followed him cautiously, and saw him go down to the basement storage room. Besides the small storage room on the second floor, where I just hid, we had a big storage room in the basement. That's where we usually kept stuff we didn't use often, so no one really went down there. I hid in the corner of the living room on the first floor, full of confusion and fear, wondering what Dad was doing in the storage room. Dad had only been down there for a little while. He came back up pretty quick. He had something extra in his hand, but it was way too dark. I couldn't see what it was. Dad went back up to the second floor. His footsteps echoed through the hallway up there. I took the chance and sneaked down to the basement. The basement was pitch black, I could barely see anything. It was so quiet, it gave me chills. I fumbled around for a while. Still couldn't find the light switch. So I pressed the button on my digital watch. Used its tiny light to see. The watch's faint glow flickered on. I looked up. And almost got scared out of my mind. There was a pale face in the corner of the storage room. I recognized her right away. It was the missing nanny. My blood ran cold. The nanny wasn't missing. Her body was hidden in our storage room. A ton of questions hit me all at once. What if the real killer wasn't Mom? But Dad, he didn't just kill Bebe and Yueyu. He killed the nanny too. I remember Dad carrying something upstairs. My heart sank. Something happened to Sis. I bolted out of the basement. Ran up to the second floor. It was completely dark too. Only a faint light came from Sis's room. I held my breath. Slowed down. Crept silently to her door. I peeked through the slightly open door. And my eyes went wide. Sis was lying silently on the white sheets. Blood soaked everything around her. Dad had his back to me. He was holding a sharp kitchen knife. Chop chop chopping at Sis's body. Each hit made a crunching sound of bones breaking. My mind went completely blank. Dad really was the killer. He killed all my sisters. I stood frozen in terror. My mind flashed through everything that happened recently. No, there must be something I missed. I tried so hard to figure out what was off. But the more I thought, the more my head hurt. Like it was about to split open. I stared at Sis's wide open eyes. Suddenly, it hit me like a lightning bolt. I remembered. There are 5 people in my family. Dad, Mom, Bebe, Yui, and me. I only have 2 older sisters. Bebe and Yui are already dead. So who is Dad chopping up now? When I looked back inside the house, Dad was already gone. A chill shot up from my feet, making my spine cold. I turned my head. And there was Dad standing right next to me. With a creepy grin on his face. And madness in his eyes. And his hand was already raised high holding a blood-covered kitchen knife, swinging at me. I remembered. The person Dad was chopping in the room was me. I snapped my eyes open. And found myself lying in a hospital bed. The white ceiling stung my eyes. I couldn't help but touch my neck. It wasn't chopped off. I looked around. And saw a few nurses and cops standing in the room. Staring at me with complicated looks. Seeing the cops, I shouted, "It is Dad. The killer is my dad." But no one responded. His responses were good. Consciousness has, Xing Xing. A nurse shined a flashlight in my eyes. And said calmly, as if I had just been talking in my sleep. Then, he pulled the IV needle out of my hand. And left with the police. The room went quiet all of a sudden. I was all alone. My head was full of questions. I couldn't understand how I survived. And I couldn't understand why no one reacted to what I said. Just then, Mom pushed the door open and came in. "Mom," I whispered, my voice cracking a little. Mom came over and stroked my head, and said softly, "Xing Xing, you're awake." Her voice had a hint of comfort, but her eyes were kind of dodgy. "Mom, it is Dad. The killer is Dad. Dad killed Bebe and Xing Xing. And the nanny too." I grabbed Mom's hand, and shouted frantically. But Mom just went silent. A flash of pain crossed her face, and her eyes were full of conflict. I stared at her, and the fear and unease inside me grew stronger. "What is wrong, Mom? Don't you believe me? Is it because we suspected you were the killer before, and that made you mad?" But I saw it with my own eyes. It was Dad. I looked at Mom in disbelief, my voice getting hysterical. "That is not how it is, Xing Xing." Mom looked at me, and tears of sorrow streamed down her face. Mom told me, the person who killed Bebe, Yiye, and the nanny, was actually me. Everything I saw was just from being hypnotized by a therapist. During the hypnosis, I already admitted I was the killer and described the whole crime. And only the killer would remember every detail of each victim's death so clearly. "Xing Xing, I know this is hard to accept, but it is the truth." Mom's voice was a little choked up. "In the end, I was sent to juvie. The day I left, I looked at Dad, and how Mom came to see me off. I remembered everything. My name is Xing Xing. I lived in a happy family of 5. I had 2 older sisters, named Bebe and Yueyu. My dad was always busy, working late a lot. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, taking care of us 3 girls every day. One day, Mom collapsed from exhaustion. Dad took her to the hospital to recover. For a long time after that, I didn't see Mom around the house. Later, Dad hired a nanny sister to take care of us. The nanny sister was really nice to us, but her cooking was never as good as Mom's. So, I missed Mom a lot. Sometimes I'd wonder, maybe taking care of us 3 was just too tough. And that's why she got sick. Dad always said he had to work hard, so our family could have a good life. I started thinking, if there was one fewer person in the house, maybe Mom and Dad would have it easier. and they'd have more time for me. That thought kept growing in my head, until one night, I went to the kitchen and grabbed a kitchen knife. I killed Bebe. Before I went into Bebe's room, I made sure to copy Mom's style, and made our favorite braised pork, hoping Bebe would forgive me after eating it. Too bad. The nanny sister saw me. I tried to explain to him, but he turned around and ran downstairs. On the stairs, he lost his footing, fell from the second floor, and passed out on the ground floor. I didn't want Mom and Dad to find out what I did, so I slit his throat with the knife. After Bebe died, Mom still never came back. I thought maybe there were still too many people in the house, so Mom didn't want to come home. So I made braised pork again, killed Yue. In the end, Mom and Dad finally came back, but they looked really sad, and I was going to leave them too, to go live in a juvenile detention center. I watched their figures, looking like they aged in an instant. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt some regret in my heart. The end.